you can curate some for this one in particular that I'm thinking of. If you're willing to curate some stuff like that in Tempe, they may, be looking to help fund some stuff like that. So I'll send you some links and we can talk offline a little more about that. But now that all sounds amazing. Like
Awesome.
a lot of the work that you're, looking to put in, and I see that the podcast site is up, and you'll be looking to kind of give people that option. And I love what you said about like trying to make it affordable, but still understanding like, hey, you got stuff to pay for. Like that podcast got to look how it got to look, and your visibility has to be there as well, because that's a
Yeah.
whole other part of it too. It's like, one, you're going to be a master at your craft and what you do, and you're going to give your all to your clients, and the people who get to experience that, they understand it and know it. But sometimes when someone's just clicking your page, or when they just landed on your podcast real quick, they don't know all that you've put in to like be who you are
Yeah.
today. So that one little clip, like literally, I clicked the intro I clicked the podcast for the first time, and the intro had me just like, hold on, let me full screen, like, I was like zoomed into it. So in terms of like capturing somebody, for the moment, to like keep them locked into you doing your intro, hey, this is Kaishone, I got this guest, this is my podcast, so on and so forth. And then you get into the topic and the tones, and the level of in which you're like engaging with your guests is super calm too. I mean, I haven't watched all of them, so they all may vary,
Yeah.
but like the few that I checked out, it was like super warm and inviting, because I feel like when it comes to mental health, what I'm saying, folks do need that kind of environment to where they don't feel like, hey, tell me about what's wrong with your brain. What I'm saying? It's like, nah, like, yo, you kind of
Um,
talk through the questions with them, and they kind of process real time, what I'm saying, and kind of you bounce back and forth off of those. So how do you set up for your podcast? I'm just curious. Are you like, do you like to get like a lot of questions pre-prepared, or are you just kind of freestyling as you go? What's your kind of vibe when you prepare to have a guest on?
I would say both. I think it's important to allow space to let the guests flow, and kind of move the host along. You would think it'd be back the other way around, but that's not how it works. With when you're talking about a topic surrounding mental health, they're trying to get them to be comfortable being vulnerable and sharing their story.
Mm-hmm.
So I prepared, I have cue cards, and I write some questions that I can kind of guide off of. But if we go into some other lanes, or if they speak on something I would definitely love to elaborate on, I will do that. So it kind of it's there's a script, but there's room for unscripted discussion, and I always leave a space at the end for just an open discussion for them to talk about whatever. So I think that works, and that's just like any therapy session. You're gonna go in the session and talk, and your therapist is not gonna have a group of questions. They may have a guideline on what they want to ask you or what they want to dive into to get to know where you are and what you need help with. But it's essentially based on you. So trying to keep that traditional way of having a session, even though I'm not a licensed therapist, but just that traditional way of discussing different topics mixed with, my own little twist. And I'm just a regular, degular girl from Arizona, so I don't want anybody to feel shy or uncomfortable. I get nervous just like the next person. I'm not perfect just like the next person. But the space is really shared. So just making it that way, making sure that they know that that's the setting. That's all I ask for.
Yeah, and that's super real, especially today in the age of the phone. Like, everybody's scrolling Instagram, all that instant gratification, all of this like cyber feels, being in a setting. I mean, though the podcast is digital, but like inviting people into your space, what I'm saying, or even touching back on what you essentially want to do is build that communal kind of space where folks can come together and do it, because there's value in like those conversations being had, like not being, kind of how we are essentially right now, as a product of like what the pandemic was originally. I just am working towards getting like a studio spot so I can invite people in to like do my pod live, but like, kind of essentially like what you have and then what you're working towards for actually like providing support to people is super, super important. So I just want to give you like some praise for like doing that and like looking to kind of keep that a thing. What I'm saying? Just because like it's a gift and a curse. is what essentially what I'm
Yeah.
getting at with this technology. Like we can connect with so many people that we may not ever have the opportunity connect with, but we can also see some things that create insecurities for us. You know what I'm saying? That create some kind of like doubt or imposter syndrome because we're looking at producers in Sweden with all this, technology, and I'm like, oh, I'm here and all I have is this. You know what I'm saying? But so like that's that gift and the curse side of thing. But like actually being in person with people, like I used to run sound with the band every first Friday, and they used to draw like 200, 300 people circling around them, and it was nothing like that environment. When it was taken away from us via the pandemic, it was a lot different. You know what I'm saying, in terms of making music and like just seeing that response to people live at a concert and that kind of shift and change. So just wanted to throw that out there before I kind of shift gears on the pod. So one thing I do like to do is just learn a little bit about like how you maintain. You know what I'm saying? We talked a lot about your business and how you got there, a lot about your life experiences. But what things do you do to chill out?
I I had Homebody on because he's grown to be a good friend. I just met him in passing as well, but I am a homebody as well. So when I saw his homebody's friends page, I was like, I'm on it. I love to be at home. I love to be. I have a significant other. I love to be around him. I just love to just chill. Like I find peace in that because my life is so chaotic. My work life is chaotic. I go in the office and I see people who um, have auditory and visual hallucinations. They may have paranoia, schizophrenia. I deal with so much energies all day long. People who are severely depressed, who are manic. The list goes on. Who have substance use, and I have to debrief. So I think a lot of my peace comes from being at home and relaxing. I made my space very comfortable for that. But I also like to go out and have fun. I like a good brunch. I like to go to networking events. I love music. I think I have been to one of your events before, and
Oh
I've
wow.
heard your poetry.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I think
Okay.
it was so long ago, but so I love spaces like that, and that's my vibe, real chill. But other than that, being home is where it's at. Or with my family. I love my family. I just had a nephew too, and I FaceTime him all the time. It's kind of sick, but I love to FaceTime him. He's a month old, but
Okay.
I will go see him. I love to FaceTime him. So I just love my family and being home. That's where I find joy outside of helping people.
Okay. No, that's amazing. I mean, I'm very similar. Like because of the like I make music, I love being in my space that I create in. When I'm outside of it, I feel like something out of his
Fish out
shell,
of
if you
water.
will. I'm just like, yo, where are we? But I'm getting better at being outside and like kicking it with folks and like doing that part of things too, because that part of networking helps me out a little bit. Being an introvert naturally, like I have to kind of push myself at times because I'm like, man, when was the last time I actually pulled up on somebody, and just kind of making
Yeah.
sure I have a bit of that balance. But when you're at the crib, when you're relaxing and stuff, do you pop on any shows? Do you have any like favorite things to watch?
I'm really when I'm at home, I'm like so tired. I either sleep or I mean, if I do watch anything, I love the love shows. So I'm watching Love Is Blind right now, or crime. Learning about you know serial killers. I don't know why that's intriguing to me, or court cases that are going on. Popular court case. I watched the Daryl Brooks court case from start to finish. I'm waiting on the
Okay.
sentencing date.
Yeah.
So like I am into those types of things, but I'm not really a TV person. I will watch a movie every now and again. I'm like into comedy, romantic comedy, or just whatever my babe wants to watch, we'll watch. But I'm not a TV person, honestly.
Okay. For sure. What about YouTube? I mean, where do you spend most of your
Oh, I
time?
love YouTube.
Like, okay, so
Yeah, a lot of YouTube.
are you watching like other like YouTubers? So I'm just trying to throw things out. EYL, do you check out any like EYL information earn your leisure?
No, I don't really. So if I watch YouTube, I do like a lot of motivational or educational YouTube channels.
Okay.
So I like to learn about credit, business credit, um,
And you
DYIs.
okay. Well, I might have to
So I'm
send you.
always I'm studying all the time,
Yeah.
but I like my brain likes to learn.
Yeah.
Um, So anything that's teaching me something, or anything that's, I don't know. I think I always gravitate towards those things. It's sad, but that's what I watch.
Okay, no, for sure. I have to put you on to the one I was referring to. EYL is Earn Your Leisure. They pretty much go over,
Oh, what's
business
this?
credit, stocks, all kind of stuff. It's
Oh,
super insightful. They got a program for each day of the week, pretty much. But that's pretty much all I watch.
wow.
It's like if I'm not looking at football stuff, man, I'm just on there. Every Monday they got Market Monday, so they going over what's going down in the market with different companies and Ian, the market. He calls himself on IG is the master investor. So those guys are pretty insightful. Because again, I'm similar. Like I don't watch too much. Like with my fiance, we'll kick back and our quality time will be spent like watching shows and like doing that part of it. But when I'm dolo and like if it's not football, then it's like something about my stock, something about business, to kind of keep that part of my brain going. Because I don't know, man. Like I do, like don't get me wrong, I enjoy shows. Like if we're doing it as like a group setting type of thing, but by myself, I'll like pass out or find myself like opening up an Excel spreadsheet and like doing work. You know what I'm saying? I'm that type of person where my brain has
It's
to be
hard
like
to it's
turn it
hard to
off.
shut it off. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm the same way. It's just, I think it's just because we're in this elevating. We desire to elevate, so it's hard to turn that off. That's who we've become. So any way we can feed that little beast inside of us, it's what's gonna happen.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You
So,
know what? It does this to me at work too, because I do
uh,
groups at work on Zoom,
oh yeah,
and the girls are always like, "You hung up on us," and I'm like, "No, it's just Zoom. I don't know. Our job makes us do our own too." And I'm like, "I'm not paying for it, so we're gonna do
yeah,
40 minutes, and then we'll start all over." So
right,
I don't know
right.
why.
Yeah,
It's so stupid, but
true. The guys, we were doing a creative writing workshop to where we had like 40 people, 20 people, sometimes 8 people. So I was like, all right, I'll pay for a few months, and then we weren't doing those anymore. And my pod was running for a while, so I was like, all right, perfect. This is it's kind of working. But as it slowed up, I was like, all right, now it's a bit much. So I'm working on the alternate. So we'll figure it out. Obviously, I want to be in person, so we'll figure that out. But for the time being, I got to figure out a better way of doing it. But no, again, we're gonna jump back into it. I want to thank you for taking time out of your Sunday to do this. I know yesterday this internet situation kind of dropped the ball. So, man,
it
you've been like
happens
super
over
helpful.
here all the time.
Does it?
Downtown, we like it's crazy. We always have outages, sometimes for a whole day. So just
Right.
imagine if you have a Roku TV or internet TV, it's like
Just
there's no
yeah,
TV
pretty much
or a
right.
hotspot. Yeah, it's bad.
Stressful. Okay, so as we close out here, I just want to get a little bit of like, so usually what I like to do on my pod is like, all right, I'll take a person back to the time that I was like introduced to their work, but given that I was introduced to you fairly recently, like I just want to take you back, let's say 4 years, because you say you've been in business since 2020, so 2 years before you started your business. Wherever you were at that time, like what kind of advice would you give a person like that was in your position? I don't know what you were going through, only you do, but like what kind of words would you have wanted to hear during that time that lets you know that like, yeah, I'm gonna be that girl, soon, or that woman, or that whoever soon.
I would say um, to believe in yourself. Believe that you can do anything that God puts in your mind. Trust God, and if He puts it in your mind, that means you have some sort of capacity to get it done. You may need to connect with the right people, but to start making those steps, and to remember that it takes a step to get to the next step. You don't climb a ladder by jumping from here to the top. Just as long as you put one foot in front of the other, you're gonna move. We walk by doing that. That's an example, and I think God created us to walk like that because He wanted us to know it's gonna take one foot in front of the other to get where you have to go. So just trust yourself, trust your dreams, believe in yourself, and take the steps.
Hmm.
You won't regret it. You never regret doing something for yourself. I've never regret doing anything for myself. So
I like it.
that's my advice.
I like it. And as you talk about connect with the right people, I do want to touch on that just slightly, because I get a lot of that. Like, so for I Am Root, we've been rocking since about 2011, and sometimes I get folks that's like, "Oh man, how do you build a team? Like, how do you meet the right people to like, to like actually do the jobs or the tasks or whatever the case is?" Like, what's been your experience with like finding the right people, or like and also learning to like relinquish some of that responsibility as you work with the gentleman. I believe you said Martine is the name. I just don't want to
Mhm.
mispronounce it. Okay, okay. And then also La, but like either prior to finding them or even in the process of finding them, like that process of you like relinquishing some of that responsibility. Like this is your baby, this is your project, but like allowing them to like do their thing and trusting them to do their thing.
Um, Doing research and kind of like just seeing what people have to offer, having conversations, putting yourself in spaces to meet those types of people. That's what it takes. You're never going to find the right team if you stay at home and you just always have to do things by yourself. So putting yourself out there to meet different people and seeing what they have to offer. But it's really, I kind of got lucky. I Martina and I met once, and it was kind of like the conversation was like it sounded like he believed in me from day one,
Mm-hmm.
and that meant a lot just because I don't have a lot of family that have you know that have their own business or have ever tried to have their own businesses. So to have somebody believe in your dream or your baby from the
Yeah.
get go was really, really big for me. And then just seeing his work, I was a believer in him that he can get the job done. And knowing that I couldn't take on the world, even though we sometimes think that we can. You can't take on the world by yourself. So just trusting it. It's really hard. You never know. And sometimes just knowing that everybody who you start with, you won't end with. There are some people that I worked with before that I no longer work with, and there's no bad blood or anything like that. But if we weren't aligning, we weren't aligning. So it's just, you have to move on, knowing when to say that this isn't working. Being honest, it goes back to that, just being honest and kind of trial and error. You're gonna have bad times. You're gonna make some mistakes in your business. I definitely wasted a lot of money, made a lot of mistakes, but it's important. It helps to build the character of the business. So when you get to a point where you can have that CEO speech or that owner's speech on how you got to the point you are in the future, you now have a story. You don't want to say it was perfect. I never had any hiccups. Everything went well, because that's a false narrative to others who are going to experience things. Even if you're the lucky one, who 1% who doesn't have hiccups. So I think it just builds character to just try, get out there. If you fall, get up, try again. You'll find the right person if you do it that way.
Okay. That sounds amazing. So I want to throw out this last thing here and give you an opportunity to give out some flowers. So one thing I enjoy doing is just like meeting new people, but also those people kind of putting me on to new people. So if there's anybody out there that you admire who's doing great work, that's kind of in our community or in communities similar to ours, this is a good time for you to run through them. So if I have to put a cap on it, maybe like 5 people, 3 to 5 folks that you think is doing some great work
Okay.
out there.
Um, I will say Glam Girl Inc.
Mm-hmm.
It's run by Janae. She's a lash